In this episode, I'm gonna show you how to know when your dog is finally ready to be left alone, loose, in your house. I'm Zach George. I train dogs. This is my new dog, and I'm gonna show you how I train her from day one. Things definitely won't always go smoothly. You can start from the beginning, or you can pick up anywhere. Subscribe and hit the bell notification so you never miss an episode. When you put into motion an approach based on love and respect, your results will forever remain in motion. This is Inertia. Welcome to the dog training experience. Training a dog requires you to know them really well and to be able to train them from the inside outward. And you can't train them to their maximum potential without a great diet. There's so much dog food available, but the ingredients in that food vary widely. I've been pleased to see that a good number of you have been using Solid Gold products and you're loving it. It really is a special food. A few things you're gonna love about Solid Gold are the fact that they use whole superfoods and the way they combine prebiotics and probiotics carefully promotes digestive health. Plus they incorporate omega fatty acids to nourish your dog's skin, their coat, and their immune system. Solid Gold also makes some top of the line supplements like the C meal, which is ultra healthy. I like to give her these right before her meal. If you want to give your dog something really extra special, Solid Gold makes this human-grade bone broth. It's also good for picky eaters. Check out Solid Gold's deal of the week just for you guys at solidgoldpet.com/Zach. That's solidgoldpet.com/Zach. I'll have a link in the description. When you have a new dog, one of the things that you've got to contend with is when is it okay to let your dog be loose in the house, unsupervised, for the first time? Going into this video, I was positive that Inertia was ready to have the run of the house, but now I'm afraid she might start crashing through the walls. There is no particular moment when it suddenly becomes okay to just let your dog have the complete run of the house, especially when you're gone. You've probably noticed that if you've been keeping up with this series, because there wasn't just a day when Inertia suddenly went from being supervised to being free to roam the house all day. It happened really gradually over time. Today we're going to analyze how we knew when the time was right and the steps we took to get there with Inertia. Management is a critical step when you're working towards getting your dog to behave and to not be destructive while you're gone. You can't skip this and just rely on correcting behaviors that happen when you leave. When I'm raising and training a dog, I like to use basically the same logic I would as if I was teaching a toddler. So when bringing an 8-week-old puppy home, the last thing I want to do is just set them loose and cross my fingers and hope it goes right. If you're like a lot of new people, you might be thinking, okay, I'll bring my puppy home, see how they do, and then I'll correct the behaviors that I don't like. For example, you might notice that your dog is chewing on the furniture or chewing a lamp cord and then scold them for doing so. But I've got to tell you, at this point I've raised several puppies now, and by being proactive and preventative, you're much more likely to get better results. Remember that if you find yourself correcting behaviors after they occur, that's likely to be mostly counterproductive. Instead, when you are at home and your dog is at home with you, that's when you need to spend time observing them and preventing unwanted behaviors from occurring in the first place so that they don't become a habit to your dog. And by the way, for those of you with new dogs, I do highly recommend you check out both of my books to best learn how to raise and train your own dog. This, combined with these videos, is going to give you everything you need. In Inertia's case, you've noticed throughout this series how I've been very diligent about managing her and controlling her environment. In other words, when we brought her home, the house was virtually completely puppy-proof. So when I would let her explore the house, I would let her drag her leash around, or I even had the leash attached to me. So she was always easy to get to no matter what. And I made sure she was always in the room with me, or in her crate, or in her puppy playpen area. And it's worth mentioning, you could also use things like pet gates to really modify your house so that your dog is very easy to keep track of. Remember, use toddler logic. If a 4-month-old baby had the ability to run and jump and bite, you certainly wouldn't just set them loose and expect them to follow rules they haven't even had a chance to learn yet, right? There's no way to do primary training when you're not actually at home with your dog. So when you are there, you should focus on preventing bad habits from occurring and show your dogs how you want them to behave while on their own. Naturally, exercising your dog before you leave them alone, especially in the beginning like this, is likely to encourage them to just chill out and go to sleep, so they're not likely to get into things that they shouldn't. If you do come home and your dog has destroyed something, that probably means they're just not yet ready to be in that part of the house unsupervised yet. So ask yourself if they're likely to be less destructive in another part of the house, like your bedroom. But if you think there's a decent chance they might chew up your comforter or your mattress even, then you should probably have them in a more controlled, dog-proof setting, at least for now. So for management purposes, with Inertia at this point in her life, we have phased out the crate virtually completely. This doesn't mean I'll just never use a crate again, but we are at the point where we're completely comfortable leaving Inertia alone in the house with our older dog, Indy, in an unrestricted manner for many hours at a time. At what age are most dogs ready to be left at home reliably? That answer varies so dramatically from dog to dog. Let me give you a couple of examples though. Let's say you got a puppy around 10 weeks of age or so, and you've worked with them really diligently, as I have with Inertia. I would say that at around 7 to 8 months of age, you can start testing leaving your dog in a general part of the house without supervision, assuming they've been doing well in that same part of the house when you are at home and they're not getting into things they shouldn't. I'm reluctant to recommend that you leave any dog alone who is not well through their teething phase though. And that's really around 6 to 8 months of age. It does vary a little bit from dog to dog. If you've adopted an adult dog, comfortably leaving them alone is going to vary widely depending on their personality and past life experience. But I would say with older dogs, get to know them really well for 2 or 3 months before you give them unrestricted access to the house while you're away. So bottom line, don't be in a hurry to give your dog total run of the house. Instead, test for very short periods of time at first, and only do so after you've extensively supervised them in the environment to make sure both of you feel comfortable and you're confident they'll behave when you leave them alone. Of course, having a camera of some kind to keep an eye on your dog is a really good way to see how they'll do. During your testing, if you discover or suspect that your dog has separation anxiety, you'll want to do some very specific training and exercises centered around that in order to prevent that anxiety. Keep in mind that dogs are social creatures and they like to be near us, and when we're out of sight, this can cause some dogs to feel anxious and they may experience excessive barking or whining. So our goal is to minimize anxiety to the best of our ability. And this can take time and effort. I'm going to have videos in the description where I show you how I help dogs overcome their separation anxiety and how I dealt with this with Inertia. Barking and whining can occur due to other reasons that aren't related to separation anxiety at all, too. Maybe you just happen to have a dog with a barky personality, or maybe they see something outside or bark at another pet of yours, or if you have a dog like Inertia, maybe they just randomly decide to start barking out of the window in your new house. If you're dealing with excessive barking, I'm going to have a link in the description for you too. Ultimately, finding the exact right time to leave your dog alone in the house really just takes some careful observation and testing on your part. You are definitely the best person on earth to know when the time is right for your specific dog. Don't forget to check out Solid Gold's Deal of the Week at solidgoldpet.com/Zach. Subscribe to this channel and follow us on Instagram and TikTok to keep up with Inertia in real time. Grab a copy of both of my books too. I'm gonna have all of the links in the description. And we'll see you guys in the next video. I guess you guys have finally decided to take a nap, huh?